practice, just as Nathan Josephs has. Oh, difficult. Oh, I don't know. But you're here now, so. Welcome, everybody, and take this time to go ahead and set aside anything that will beep or chirp or distract you, and do whatever you can to just be here for the next 45 minutes to an hour. And so good morning to New York City and Sacramento and Richmond, Virginia. I am in Oakland, California, and I'm joining you here from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. From today, very rainy, overcast. Yes, it's going to be winter. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Bay Area, nice. And Cherry Hill, New Jersey. It's good to see you all. So if you have blocks, I invite you to go get 2 blocks, or if you are used to using a chair for various things, make sure you do have a chair. It's not required, but if you know that it's helpful for you, today's a good day to have that available. There'll be a little bit of balancing. And thank you, Kat, for putting that in the chat. And I see there's a question in here for modifications for people who are new to yoga. And yes, I will give you modifications. I will give you modifications. There is the opportunity for this to just be gentle stretch, but there's also an invitation to explore working a little harder if you like. And at whatever level you do it, it will be your own practice. It will be your own practice, meaning don't push farther than feels safe. Notice your own body. And our goal is always to go from where you are to where you want to be in a safe way, safe and healthy and whole way. Lacey, Washington, on Nisqually land. I used to live really near there. So welcome, everybody. I think we'll go ahead and get started. I think people are mostly here and in. I'm going to switch my camera. There we go. And I'll move over here. So we're going to start very gently on our backs. Those of you who practiced with me before may have done these reclined leg extensions. So just go ahead and lay on your back. Feel the floor supporting you. And before we start moving, let's tap into our breath. Just begin to feel your belly expand on the inhale. And feel it release on the exhale. Releasing tension and worry. Just notice what your breath is like right now. Feel the belly rise, the ribs rise, and feel them release back down to the ground with gravity. And now bring your awareness to your right foot. Flex that foot and stretch your heel out, just a gentle lengthening that will help lubricate the lower back, actually. And release it, and do the same thing with the left foot. Flex the foot, stretch your heel out. Feel that stretch all the way up, really to mid-back. And release it, just easy, gentle. Flex the right foot, stretch it out. Just these very, very small micro movements. And the left heel, flex that left foot, stretch the heel out. Just micro movements. It's almost like you're not doing anything, but you can feel a little bit all the way up to the low back, maybe even the mid back. And now place your hands underneath your head, and we'll take that right foot again, flex the foot, extend the ankle, and then take your right elbow up in a slight arc and feel that all down the outer side of the right side and bring it back. Take the left heel, flex it, stretch that left heel out, and take the left elbow up. You're still on the floor, but feel that stretch along the left ribs, the left side body, and bring it back. One more time, right heel, stretch it out, right elbow up and over, just sliding across the floor. It's really gentle, really easy. And come back, left heel, flex the left foot, stretch the heel out, left elbow up and slide and glide. And release it back. Bend your knees, put your feet on the floor, and roll over to your right side and come up to a seated position. We're going to sit cross-legged. Now, the most efficient way to do this is to have your feet under your knees. And so your knees are at a 90-degree angle. If that doesn't work for your body, if you need your knees to be at a larger angle, that's fine. But the most efficient is just right here. So this is not a safety thing. This is an efficiency thing. And you can be out or you can be in, but have your seat be as straight up out of your hips as you can. And then we'll lean any amount forward just until you start to feel resistance in the hips or the glutes. And if your knees are wider, you're going to feel it a little bit differently. You might have to come forward farther. But if they're close in, you hardly have to move till you feel that. And then take your hands out on your fingertips and then just go back and forth. Just very easy. That you feel maybe a tiny bit of resistance, but it's basically pretty comfortable. And then take your hands behind you. And now, if you like, you can just switch your legs, or you can come up into a half boat. So you're resting on your hands, using your abdominals, just waking them up and switching the legs. And decide where your knees are going to be here. Bring your hands forward, just a slight lean, or, even if it's as straight up as where you are, then that's fine too. Maybe walk your fingers forward. Just explore. Nothing too dramatic, nothing too drastic. Just a gentle back and forth. And maybe take it over to the right side a little bit more, with a little back and forth, moving in and out, gentle side to side. And take it back to the other side, to the left, so that your sternum is over the knee, and back and forth, side to side, and back to the center, side to side. And again, just where you feel resistance, it's easy, comfortable. And then come on back. I'm going to ask you to either, to come onto your knees. Yeah, this is going to be best. Going to work with our wrists. So I want to warm up the wrists a little bit. Now keep your hips back and place your hands on the ground. So while your hips are back, there's no weight on the wrists. Now, just as paying close attention to the sensations in your own body, and just start to pick the hips up, which is starting to load some weight onto the wrists. And then just move in like a little half circle. And you should feel a nice stretch in the wrists. And if this is good and you can do more, that's great. If it's too much, bring the hips back so that there's less weight on the wrists. And take it in a half a circle and a half a circle. And if that's really good, you can go way out in front. And then go ahead and sit back. Now, two options. One option, if your wrists are fairly flexible, well, who knows? Just check it out. We're going to turn the hand around so the inner arm is facing forward. And if that is too much, you can sit back on your shins and do one arm at a time. So lean over to the side and have that inner arm forward, and pay attention to how much weight you put on it. You can just put it on a very small amount and lean it forward. And then as you lean it back, should feel a nice stretch in here. That is the point, is to feel a nice stretch, not too much, not too heavy-handed. And if you're doing one arm, then go to the other side and just slightly back. If you're forward, you can come back any amount. And if this is all too much, just take your hands and roll them around for the wrists. I don't know about you, but I do a lot of work on keyboards, and this one just feels really good for me. Even this, and leaning back, feels really good. But you want to be able to adjust the amount of weight on it so that it's the right amount for you. So now you can find yourself a seat. I'm going to teach a little Torah, or you can keep doing any of those warming up moves, either the reclined leg extensions, or sitting and just moving back and forth, or any of the wrist motions. Or you can simply sit, your choice. And so I'm going to bring into our practice today this week's Parsha, Lech Lecha. It starts out, well, let me just say, Lech Lecha. One way of translating that is go for yourself, go to yourself. And that's what this practice is going to be all about, is paying attention to your own body to see where you are and where you want to go to. Not all in one fell swoop, but what is that path? So the first verse of this Parsha, Vayomer Adonai El Avram, and Yud He Vav He speaks to Avram and says, Lech Lecha me'artzecha u'mimoladetcha umi beit avicha el haaretz asher arecha. So leave, go forth, go forth. Rashi says, get thee out. Literally, go for thyself, for your own benefit, for your own good. Lech lecha. It's that doubling of go, but go for you, for lecha or lach. Me'artzecha, from your land, from your country, from the political systems that you grew up in. From a contemplative perspective, from our practice perspective, it's like, what is your land like? What is the habitual place where your body is? What is your body normally? Where does your body normally reside? I will admit that there is a spot on my couch that has a perfect imprint of my body that I reside a lot. And when I reside there too much, I can feel it in my body. It's not good. It's not good. Reb Zalman said that the mind is like tofu. It takes on the flavor of whatever it marinates in. And the body also. Am I sitting at a desk all the time? Am I sitting all the time? Am I doing some repetitive motion? We'll see that that is kind of the land where our body is. Mi moladet techa, from your birthplace. It's like both your birthplace and your family. What have I inherited my body from my family? We're going to do some work with hips. Like, what are my hips like that I've gotten through my DNA? And what are my hips like, or my movements like, just based on my family of origin, just some of our habits? Maybe we're hikers, maybe we're not. And then mi beit avicha, from your father's house. This is again, the flavor of your childhood home that is still with you. And how does that sit in our body? That may be actual physical stuff, but it also may be emotional things that we hang on to in throat, in jaw, in sternum, in hips, in lower back. Tensions or freedoms? Both. So as we use lech lecha today, I want to talk about, like, what's the point of bringing this to yoga? And that's this idea that Avram had to leave home, had to leave his habitual places to encounter God. He had to leave for transformation to take place. Transformation requires some kind of leave taking, plus trust in the process, courage, enough trust to go. And then it finishes up at the end of that verse, El haaretz asher arecha, to the land that I will show you, because you don't know where you're going yet. We don't know where we're going yet. We don't know where this yoga practice will take us exactly yet. But when we have the courage for that leave taking, to leave old habits, and for those of you who are here for the first time, you are already on your way. You have left your old habit and shown up here. Plus trusting in the process, to this land that I will show you. And who is the I? Not the teacher. It's not me. I am just your tour guide. But really, the land that I will show you is your own awareness, your own experience in your own body, your own 5 or 6, depending on how you count them, senses. That 6th sense being your consciousness, your awareness. That is the land that all my senses and consciousness will show me. So how do we go? We transform by leaving habit, by paying close attention, and by bringing loving awareness to whatever we actually find on the mat today. So with that, I invite you to come back to your mat and come down to your belly. And we're going to do a little bit of investigation with our hips today with internal rotation and external rotation. Now, all of our hip sockets are different. Some are deeper, some are shallower. Some people have an easier external rotation, some have an easier internal rotation. Whatever it is, we're just going to investigate. So go ahead and come down on the mat and take that right leg again and extend it out. Make sure your kneecap is facing down to the ground and actually internally rotate that leg a little. And what I mean by that, just to show you, internal rotation is turning it in a little bit like that. So not out, but internal rotation. Knees facing straight down to the floor. So take that right leg, internal rotation, lengthen it and lay it down. Left leg, raise it up, internal rotation, and lay it down. Now take your arms to your side, forehead to the ground, and see if you can raise your feet. Pull your belly in, and see if you can raise up your thighs. And if you like, you can extend your head forward and raise up your head using the back muscles. Locust pose. And release it down. Now take your arms, forearms, elbows under the shoulders, and we'll come up for just a baby back bend. So place your forearms all the way down. Feel the same amount of weight in your hands, your wrists, your forearms. So it's all pressing down. And as if you're pulling your elbows into your body and pulling your arms towards you, even though they don't move, and bring it into a little back bend. And release it. And now we do like a cat stretch with the upper back. So just take your upper back and push it out. Pull your belly in and roll up to the knees. We're doing it. Abdominal work. And roll it down. And one more time, come to a baby cobra, pulling it through. Little baby back bend for the upper back. And then round the upper back, pick the ribs up, pick the hips up to the knees, holding on with the belly, and roll it down again. Try those both again. Baby cobra, and roll up, abdominal, and come back down to the floor. Now take your hands and push up to all fours. And we'll take, it doesn't matter which leg, I'm going to take my left leg because that's one you can see, and take it back. And my right arm, my opposite arm and leg, I'm going to hold the belly in, and I'm going to keep my hips straight, not over to the side or over to the side, but I'm going to keep them straight and hold them together and lift the back leg. And if you like, lift that arm. And now from here, where we've got that internal rotation, so the eyes of your hips are facing down, your kneecap is facing down. And now just try to externally rotate. Rotate that hip open. Oh, there it is. And back internally rotate. And bring it down and switch to the other side. Take the opposite leg back, opposite arm forward, lift the leg, pull the belly in, hug the hips in together, raise your arm if you like, and take that extended leg and rotate the hip up and rotate it back down and bring it back down. And come on back to child's pose. Just bend yourself back. And then come back down to the floor. And we'll take that again with the right leg extended, internally rotated, and lay it down. Left leg extended, internally rotate, and lay it back down. Bring your arms to the side. And using your back muscles, lift the legs and extend the head out. Lift and release. Bring the forearms back under the shoulders. So the elbow is right under the shoulder. And there is weight all across the whole forearm. So it's not just in your elbow, but your wrist and your forearm and your hand. And inhale. Exhale, pull towards you into a baby back bend. Any amount, just where it is right for you. Lech lecha. Go for yourself. Go to yourself. This is your practice. And now from the arching of the back, we will arch it the opposite direction in a cat stretch and roll up the ribs and up onto the knees and release it down and back to a baby back bend. And then cat, so rounding the upper back, round that upper back, like, in fact, even just play with it. Go back and forth with the shoulders, round, arch, and round, arch, and round. Okay, there it is, arch, and round, arch, and now round, and pick up the ribs, roll up the hips, and if you like, you can curl your toes under and go into a forearm balance, or you can just keep it here on the floor and roll it back down. Press up with your hands, widen the knees, and come back either to puppy pose or to child's pose. And if it's available to you, put your forehead on the ground. If it's not available to you, you can, in this pose, grab your blocks and just rest your forehead there. Okay. And come on up now. We're going to grab, okay, so there's 3 options here. We're going to be doing some other work with the hip. Now you can use your chair. If you use the chair, you can go ahead and stand up back behind your chair and bend that front knee. This will what it will be with the chair. Bend the front knee. And now just move this hip that is far back here. We're going to move the hip from behind the knee to right over the knee. So I'm just going to go from here to here. Sounds really simple. Turns out there's some work involved. From here to here, without allowing the hip to jut out. So when you go straight up. Now you can also do that with your hands on the wall or use your blocks and, whoops, wrong leg, and come into a lunge, either with your knee on the ground or your knee up. And it can be blocks at any level. I'll do the high blocks. I'll go from here, and that's a farther move for the hip here. I'm going to move the hip using my abdominals, my hips, my glutes, my back, everything, and move up to here. and back. From where I am to where I want to be. Just try that a couple times. And don't feel free to take a break, because it actually is a lot more work than it looks like. We just begin to load that leg. We're loading the weight onto that leg and keeping the hips pulled in together. So think of keeping those hips pulled in together. And take it back down. Where's your energy? So now really notice, go slow and really notice, where am I working? And take it back down. And if you're on blocks, bring your knee down, come down to both knees, and stretch it out. And actually, let's come down on your back and take whichever leg was working the hardest and place that ankle of that leg across. So bend both your knees, take the ankle of that leg across the other thigh, and pick the foot that is on the floor up just slightly, any amount. Do you feel some stretch in that hip that was working? And if you would like some more sensation, you can take your hand, same hand as the bent leg, place it under that knee. It's kind of like a little shelf there. And pull that knee just slightly towards you. Well, so you're putting pressure on the knee to come towards you, but you're not actually letting it move. And just feel that stretch there. And place it down. And let's go ahead and do it on the other side. This time my left foot is down and my right ankle is across the left thigh. And I'm going to pick my left foot up, bring it in any amount, and you can adjust that. You can adjust that sensation. Lech lecha. Go for yourself, for your own good, for your own benefit. And then place the right hand underneath that right knee. Keep the knee where it is, but have the hand pulling in against it. But don't let the knee move. And you'll feel sensation in that right hip. And take it down. And then roll to the side. And we'll come back up because, yes, there is another side. So again, if you are using the chair, you're going to want to load the other leg. So the leg that you have not worked on, that you're not feeling it in, that's the leg that's going to be forward. And you come back, bend that front leg, and we're going to move the hip from back where it is, way back here, to become right up above that knee. And take it back. Now you engage the full body to do that motion. Your abdominals work, your back works, your thighs work. And keeping the hips hugging in towards each other, and that internal rotation of the thighs. And again, if you're doing it on the floor, so that's for the chair, you can also do it against the wall. And if you're doing it on the floor, you come into a low lunge, bring the knee up, and bring that hip forward until you're all the way on it, and come back. And again, load that leg and come back. The hips are pulling into each other, and your weight comes forward. The hip moves forward, and we load the leg. Just experiment. What does that feel like? Where are you feeling the work? All we're doing is moving the hip over the knee, but it's a good deal of work. And one more time. And take it down. And then come down to your knees, and we'll come back down to the back again. We can do that same figure 4 stretch, laying down on the back, left knee bent, right ankle crossed over, and that same hand under the knee and stretch. And if you like, you can do this stretch standing. You can do the same thing standing. You can do it reclined, or you can be standing, have your blocks handy. I'll do it to the side. Standing, cross over, come down to the blocks, and here you go. Same thing. Stick your hand under, pull it up, or here, maybe you can see better this way. Hand under, pull up. So you can do it reclined or standing, your choice. And then come on back up. We're going to do the last one of these really hard working hip work. So this is where you really need to lech lecha, go for yourself, go to yourself, leave your home, go to the land where I show you, but go for yourself. So go as far as makes sense to you. If it's just in your mind, great. If you need to go to any other posture, great. If you'd like to follow along, also great. But you're in charge. You're in charge of your own practice here. But we're going to put together some of the things we've been working on. Now, you can do this at the chair also, but I'm going to do it on the floor, starting with that low lunge. And you can have the blocks up or down. I'm going to move back a little bit. And then I'm going to move that hip over the knee, raising the back leg. I'm going to move my block out in front of me, place my hand there. And now comes the balancing. Can you take the left hand and put it on the left hip? And then, if you like, we can externally rotate that hip while your standing foot stays where it is. It might wobble, and that's fine. And if you like to go any farther, you can raise that left hand up, or you can keep it right here, or you can keep it right here. Wherever. All of these are great places to go. And then make sure that those hips are pulling towards each other, that right standing hip is not jutting out to the side, but is holding you up. And if you fall down, you can get right back up or choose what is the next best thing. We do fall out of it. It's a balancing pose. We fall out of balancing poses, and we get to try and go again as many times as we like. And bring it on down. Bring the leg down. Bend the knees. Place the hands behind the calves and come to a forward bend. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, down. Roll the shoulders, and we'll come to the other side to a low lunge with the left foot forward. And now would bring that hip from far back, or wherever your blocks are, bringing it forward and up and over the knee. Raise that back leg. And you can stay here. And here, I'm going to turn to the other side so you can see. You can stay here. You can externally rotate and internally rotate here and just play with that. You can place this block down, get rid of the other one, and place the right hand on your hip and externally rotate and open up into Ardha Chandrasana, balancing half moon. You can raise the arm up or stay at any one of those places. And notice that we took this journey step by step. Lech lecha, go to yourself. Go for your own benefit, for your own practice, and bring it down. Bend the knees, place the hands behind the shins, and raise the hips any amount to an easy forward bend. Inhale, the arms up. Exhale, the arms down. Do it again. Inhale, the arms up. Exhale, the arms down. And one more time, feel the energy coursing through your body. Inhale, the arms up. Exhale, the arms down. And we'll come on down to the floor for a couple minutes of Shavasana. Go ahead and sit down. Lay the upper body down. Knees are still bent. Bring your right knee in towards your chest. Left knee in towards the chest. Give it a hug. And then putting your palms on your kneecaps. Roll your kneecaps around, giving the low back and the upper hips a little bit of a massage. And then take it in the other direction. And then place your feet on the floor. And we're going to go back to how we started. Your arms down. Take your left leg and extend it out. Right leg and extend it out. Now lift and flex the right foot and lengthen it out, and feel that length coming all the way up, maybe even to the mid-back, and place it down. Put your hands under your head, lift that leg, stretch it out, place it down, and bring your right elbow up and over. Feel the stretch along the side of the body, and bring it back. And now take the left foot, flex it, left heel, stretches away from the body, lengthen the leg. Feel that micro movement in the back, all the way, lower back, maybe even to the mid-back. Place it down. One more time, flex it, extend that left heel, and take your left elbow up into an arc. And bring it back. And get yourself ready for Shavasana. If you need to cover up with anything, but you might just feel a good tiredness, just fall into rest right here. And take a moment to notice how your breath is. Notice the sensation in your body from your feet to your calves, to your thighs, to your hips. to your lower back and belly, to your upper back, rib cage, sternum, shoulders, arms, hands, and allow it all to rest, allowing this land to support you. You can stay there for a couple minutes. Lech lecha, go for yourself, go to yourself, your own practice, your own transformation, your own encounter with the reality of this world, your own encounter with divinity in this world. And go ahead and bring feeling back to your fingers and toes. Wiggle them. Bend your knees, place your feet on the floor. Maybe take your right arm over to the side and roll to the side and push yourself up with the left hand and come to seated. Bring your hands in together, back of the thumbs touching the heart space. You can drop your chin and just join me in one big shalom. Shalom. Namaste. May the light in me acknowledge the light in you. Thank you so much for your practice. I'll switch my camera and take questions, complaints, all of it. Here I am. Oh, good. I'm seeing that this practice worked for some people. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. I'm happy to take questions. Did anybody feel like they were working hard? Yes, hip stretches. Good. I'm glad you felt the hip stretches and start that learning of, oh, here's my hip internally rotated. Here's my hip externally rotated. Nice. Good. Some hard work. Good. It's okay for it to be hard. It's okay for it. We can let it be hard. And the main point that hopefully what I am sharing is that you're in charge of how hard that is. Like where my hips are, far back or far forward, will have an impact on how much weight is on that leg or on my wrists. And so I can control how hard that is. Any questions? I'm looking for questions. And no questions. Jody, do you have a question? I can't hear you. Okay.
Yeah, no, I was chuckling. I sent you a very heartfelt thanks for this conscious exploration and breaking it down the way you did. It really gave me an opportunity to look deeply and couple my body more with the left is what you're teaching, as well as I had to laugh when I heard the word control, because isn't always what it's all about, only all the time. But there was hard work in there, and
Yeah.
just the kind of focus I needed for today. Thank you.
Great. I'm so glad. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing. Shoshana, are you raising your hand? No. Okay. Okay. Yeah, the whole point of this practice, both in loading on the wrists and working, loading weight onto the wrists and then loading weight onto the single standing leg, was, and even in the bird dog pose, just loading on that one knee, to practice the experience of being in charge of how much load there is, going back and forth with that. And noticing that it is the same internal rotation, external rotation, whether I am on one knee, on the ground, or standing up full open, balancing half moon.
Oh, Julie. Oh, hi. Thank you.
Yeah. Hi, Karen. Hi, Karen.
Other side of Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that work with the hips. I have such hip piriformis issues that I'm always working on. And it made me wonder, like, in your experience, do you feel like that hip rotation when we're walking around and when we're doing stuff, if it's like twisted, does that cause us some of these like discomforts? And that's what you're sort of addressing.
Well,
Yeah.
okay. So great question. What we want to have is a balance between our internal rotation and our external rotation. If I am a person who walks with my feet, you can't see where I am right now, but my feet sort of ballet dancer out, what that can do is not only strengthen the external muscles, external rotators too much, that can cause a sort of a crunching in the lower back. I don't know if you can see this, but when I go like that, this space gets smaller. When I internally rotate, this space gets wider and actually feels freer and relieves tension. So that is one thing. Now, our hips are all different. Some people, the hip socket might be actually more out or shallow, but yes. So the point is, and one of the things that we got when we go from that down, with the hip back and coming up. So yes, notice the work is not here at all. You all know that now. The work is right here. And so I'm holding my hips together so this one doesn't jut out, but coming forward. And when I do, I'm strengthening that whole hip girdle in there so that, and then also keeping that balance between internal rotation and external rotation. And part of it is just knowing, what does it feel to be internally rotated or externally rotated? When I'm standing like this, and my lower back is pinching, it's like, oh, I just have to do that. And it eases it up. And if I'm walking a certain way and then I do it really fast, then I'm really exacerbating that. I'm putting a lot of pounding on the thing that I'm crunching. So just becoming aware of when you're internally rotated, externally rotated, where the weight is my weight over my heels, or is it like, sometimes if we're slouching a little bit, I'll exaggerate. Look where the weight is. It's over nothing. It's not being supported by anything. And so how am I being supported? So it's, we're just trying to get that awareness.
Thank you. That's really helpful and wonderful practice. And it was challenging, but not too challenging. You were asking.
Yeah.
So
Okay. I'm going to have to start working you guys harder.
now, the abdominal work was interesting. That was a different way to work the abdominals with the
right.
Thank you.
I really love that because it doesn't bring my neck into it. And so I can work my abdominals hard, and very efficiently without hurting my neck. And play with that coming up to your knees. And then you can even do the forearm balance, like picking the knees up. Good. I'm glad that was useful. And yes, I hear from somebody here from Nathan about balancing between flexibility and strength. Yes, for people who are naturally flexible, I am naturally flexible. Is it Nathana? Oh, sorry, I had it. Yeah, Nathana. Naturally flexible, we can do a lot of damage to ligaments. It's like we can Gumby all over the place. And what we have to do is work on strength. And it is always that balance. And when we practice, we learn that about ourselves. That is the thing. First, we have to have an awareness of what's going on with us and see what's there. Lech lecha, go to yourself. Go for your own benefit, for your own transformation. Yeah, I don't know about control. So control is a freighted word in our English language, but more intentional, using the strength intentionally, moving in intentional ways, knowing, am I externally rotated? Am I internally rotated? And what does that do to the rest of me when I'm externally rotated? It does something to my shoulder blade. Internally rotated does something to my shoulder. So just being aware, just aware. Well, thank you, everybody. So good to practice with you. I wish I could see you when I was practicing, but it's really great that this community comes together and practices together. And next week, you'll be back learning with with Cantor Lizzie Shamash.